TLDR, it's a good game. I am not biased. Salutations gamers, I'm Provi the Plant, and for the next 27 minutes, I am going to be introducing, explaining, and reviewing Reverse 1999, a new gacha game, made by a company that's probably called Blue Epoch. Reverse 1999 is a turn-based gacha game with card-based combat, similar to FGO if it was good. I wanted this video to be out during Melania's event, but then I got distracted a lot. And then I was terribly ill for a few weeks and could barely speak. But hey, I've got footage from Tooth Fairy's event now, so at least the video is probably a little more thorough. Reverse 1999 is set on an alternate Earth terrorized by magical storms, where those with greater access to magic, or arcanum, are ostracized from society, and a terrorist organization that claims to fight for said arcanists. Wait a minute. You play as this British creature named Vertin, the timekeeper of the St. Pavlov Foundation. The name you set at the beginning is irrelevant actually, she is always Vertin, and this is voiced.
No, it's fine. You don't have to fight, Miss Vertin.
Though, she's not particularly the character you play as. It might even be more accurate to call her the POV character. For all intents and purposes, she is just her own fleshed out character, with backstory, who you sometimes get dialogue options for. The story focuses on Vertin and her ragtag team of arcanists. Bibliophile Sonetto.
Fuck off!
Milf Hunter Regulus.
So you have a mother?
Potion seller Sotheby.
Well, I have a lot of potions hidden here.
Mummy Druvis.
Penetrate.
I really like this one. And an apple. Unironically, an apple. And we love him.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away. However, please do not count on this apple, will you, my friend?
Their goal is to combat the terrorist organization Manus Vindicte and investigate the Storm, a magical storm that does a little trolling and then reverses time, bringing back the world to the previous era. Unless you're in special locations like the Foundation, this one boarding school, or Vertin's suitcase, don't worry about it. Then you will be reversed. As of patch 1.2, there are 4 chapters in the main story, with the first 2 being honestly a bit of a slog to get through in my opinion, but it slowly picks up over the course of chapter 3, and dare I say even becomes pretty good actually over the course of chapter 4. Like any other gacha game, the story is told through visual novel styled sections, but what truly makes these types of stories stand out is not just the story, but how it is portrayed. I'm talking about animations, sound effects, visual effects, illustrated CGs, including the last anime supper for some reason. Reverse 1999 is fully voice acted, except for the side sections of event stories, I don't know why. CGs are often made in parts, which sounds weird, but there's a visual aid, and this allows them to progressively change. Every character, including NPCs, has live 2D with lip syncings and even expressions. They're just like me, for real, for real. And lastly, it has cutscenes. Yes, cutscenes. Fully rendered, live 2D cutscenes. Hell, one of them played during a boss battle.
Right win.
Bring it on! Let me have my dear long-lost real fight.
On the mission select screen, for any story chapter or event, you get to see a map that represents not just the area, but also the positions of the characters as a cute little board game. They're like little chess pieces, complete with date and time of the story segment. If you're familiar with a game like FGO, you can probably guess how good of a feature this is for just narrative and immersive storytelling for the environment. And lastly, there are interactables on the map. These can range from bonus missions, strange minigames, there's one sassy narrator with a really deep voice.
What did you say? I got bad signal here. Oh, bad signal indeed. I mean, I may be different from all of you, but I have a conscience, okay? I never talk shit, that's the bottom line. What I said were all felicitous hints.
And walls of text that we both know you won't read. There have been 2 events so far. Melania stealing a giant cup whilst Pickles easily becomes the best character in the game. And a haunted horror camp with Best Boy Horrorpedia, and a final boss with an ultimate that looks like this.
Oh, don't worry. I have prepared it all. I have prepared it all.
It's still early days, so I don't exactly have a lot to talk about here, but Melania's event was serviceable and it was alright, I guess. Wouldn't really call it bad, just wasn't particularly interesting. But Tooth Fairy's event, which is the second event, was a very big step up in my opinion. It had a pretty interesting plot hook, some shenanigans, and decent character drama. The hallmark of an iconic gacha game is design consistency. Can you simply look at a character, gaze in their general direction, and say, no idea who this is, but I can tell what game they're from? For example, Arknights uses a lot of modern adjacent techwear and groups characters by faction. Genshin has a very consistent style for clothing and weapon patterns. Fate Grand Order missed the assignment entirely, and although I know nothing about Blue Archive and I've never played it, I can still pinpoint it as the source for these 2 seaman demons. And here is our newest competitor. Actual shard of glass. His poor mother. Reverse 1999 has a fairly consistent design style. The characters, even the funny ones, look like they belong together. I don't know how exactly I would describe the style of this game, but I can see why some people have been calling it the British Arknights. With this in mind, the characters are pretty much split into 2 archetypes, human looking and shard of glass. Random objects. Sometimes both, sometimes dog. If you're playing with the English voice pack, then
that's Dunbat's
sister
over there.
You get all these funky accents.
4869.
Oh, Happy, take a seat.
Look first. Now walk out and wait till I say.
Just like every gacha, we have a trust mechanic. Unfortunately, it has no explicit effect on the gameplay. But at the very least, at certain thresholds, you unlock backstory that you won't read, and most importantly, clear drops, which is the premium currency to fund your addictions. The cover screen gives you a cute overview of your new wife, with important details like scents, though, to be honest, I have genuinely no idea how to interpret most of the information here. An Arcanist's work, exhibited for 20 years since the beginning of the 20th century. Born in autumn on October 23rd, originally exhibited in Washington, D.C., USA. The exhibit was later kept in Europe. This summary reads like she's a painting. And the dimensions are even worse. What is 3/22 inches? Her cock? Explain. This game is sensible. Each banner contains only Arcanists for you to pull for. This game's equip items are obtained purely through events and the in-game currency store. The gacha rates look like this, with 6-star units being 1.5% and having a scaling similar to Arknight's Pity. And this kicks in at around 60 pulls. You are guaranteed a 6-star at least every 70 pulls. Each banner is marked in the details section, you have to read it. as either standard or time limited, and the pity counter carries over between the banners of the same category. It sounds rather counterintuitive at first, but event banners and targeted character rate-up banners are both within the time-limited category. Before you get jump-scared by a literal shard of glass, you get to spin a loom over a pond, which is weird, but at least you can view the result in any order you want.
Hello, dear friend. From now on, we can be together all the time.
As of patch 1.2, there are currently no roleplay units unless you want to count Sonetto, who you get for free at the beginning. There is also no form of free gacha, akin to Arknight's recruitment. Or FGO's friend point gacha. Each summon costs 1 unilog. Those are the little bunny looking things. You can earn unilogs from events, mail, the battle pass, yes there's a battle pass, and some special tasks. But the main method is by purchasing them for 180 clear drops each. You earn 60 clear drops each time you fully clear a mission or its hard mode, counted separately. That means beating the stage and fulfilling a mostly trivial condition. You earn 90 clear drops from your dailies and 100 from your weeklies. 25 cumulative logins for a month additionally nets you 180 clear drops. Or you could just buy them for crystal drops, which is the real money currency, at a rate of 1:1. At this rate, it's about £13 for a 10 pull, with the double from the first purchase bonus. Make of that what you will. Whipping out my abacus real quick, it reveals this: 90 drops per day, 730 per week, and over 3,000 per month. My math is correct, and I am just accounting for the average month duration here. That's why there's so many decimal places. All that matters is that you get about 18 pulls per month. Events notwithstanding, because they will just give you bonuses from the fact that they have new stages. The only reason this even gets its own section is because I couldn't find a reasonable place to talk about the Chernobyl elephant's foot in the room. The English translation is my main complaint with this game, and it's understandable that they couldn't immediately find a native English speaker, but I suggest they do, quickly. The issues mostly arise from grammatical errors that exist in English but not in Chinese. According to a quick Google search, the Chinese language doesn't actually differentiate between identifiers for the subject or the object of a sentence, whereas English does. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, consider the difference between an apple and the apple. The difference is subject and object, which implies a lot about the quantities and importance of an object in a sentence. Reverse 1999, however, almost exclusively uses the, even in places where it would be better to use plurals or just nothing at all.
May the peace be with us.
Like that, it feels kind of weird, doesn't it? Don't even get me started on when they try to do metaphors. I'm not certain what goes wrong there, but it often reads like, I didn't finish that line in the script, what is going... At least the weird translations have their merits, because sometimes they're just funny.
My pleasure. This apple will shed some light on justice for them. Well, won't violate the Declaration of the Rights of the Child.
In most cases, this simply makes the game read rather heavily ESL, and just serves to bother my perfectionist brain. but there are also rather consistent cases of why would you word it like this? This is completely a nitpick on my part, but I thoroughly feel that skill effects should be described in either less words or just bullet points. Stat increases tend to be somewhat ambiguous, and while I can infer that this crit rate applies only to the ultimate, it doesn't actually say that. Admittedly, I do have some hope though. After finishing Chapter 4 of the main story, I received an in-game mail linking to a survey. There's been quite a few of these actually. Lo and behold, there was a set of questions asking about the translation quality, and given how the quality of the rest of the game has been high overall, I'm pretty confident that they will improve the translations with the user feedback. Aside from actual shard of glass, the gameplay is probably what I enjoy most here. There's a lot to comment on. I saved this section until last for a reason. Reverse 1999 uses a turn-based card combat system, where victory is a combination of luck, skill, and raw strategic team building. Your Arcanists have passive traits, which get stronger with insight, 2 incantation cards, and 1 ultimate. But what makes this system complex is Moxie, action points, and incantation levels. And of course, what turn-based gacha game would be complete without its element system with a bonus light and dark duo? Except there's also damage types here, like in Pokemon. It's essentially just a physical special split, and certain debuffs and effects will interact with said damage types. So here's a rapid-fire explanation. Moxie is the points above your unit. Max it out and your next draw will be the ultimate for that unit. Acting with a unit generates Moxie. You can move your incantations around. This counts as an action for that unit. If 2 incantations of the same type and level are adjacent, then they polymerize into the next tier. A lot of cards gain additional effects or even change category from doing this. This also generates Moxie. Each action costs 1 AP. AP equals the number of units you have out, and it's not even listed anywhere what the AP looks like, but it's actually the cards. Got it? No? Rewatch that section, explanation's over. What I like about this, compared to some other card-based systems, is that if you play well and make use of some of the emergent properties of the gameplay, you can get a lot of work out of just supportive effects. Reverse 1999 has a really weird base mechanic, or wilderness as they put it, especially to someone who's been a Year 1 Arknights player. The base building is more like landscaping. Instead of decorating building, you shovel dirt into your suitcase canonically, and build a literal landmass. Don't get me wrong, I quite like this. It's very interesting, but also, why? Who came up with this? Other than that, standard gacha base mechanics apply. It's free real estate, resources, and bond points. If you're considering playing this game, then it should go without saying that you should max your wilderness immediately. A little detail I noticed is that the pathfinding actually lets flying characters move over bodies of water. This serves zero purpose, but I just thought it was neat and I wanted to say it. Look at this. 18 hours until full. And I took this screenshot a while ago, well before I was ill. My maximum energy is even higher now. Auto farming is also so unbelievably free. For the psyche, that is. You can sweep farm, rolling the loot table up to 4 times, and the auto runs at super speed, without having a lot of the animation delay between actions. Yes, FGO, you can have autoplay in a card-based system. It's called saving the random seed. It's not hard. A team consists of 4 Arcanists. Typically, the first 3 are deployed at once, with the 4th being reserved for when you inevitably F up. Some stages are an exception though. Some stages will have all 4 out at once, and you will have an extra action point when this is true. Leveling up your Arcanists costs dust, which is just XP, and Sharpodontes, or as I like to call them, the Great British Pound. As with every other gacha game, once you hit certain level thresholds, you need to pay up with materials to progress any further. This is Insight. It goes up to 3. At level 1, your silly little wizard girl gains a passive. At level 2, there's a stat bonus that does not appear in the stats list. At level 3, there is a second passive, or the first passive simply just gets better. Next comes the Resonance, or the stat upgrade / character building part. And there are a lot of stats. I've got so many stats, they call me stochastic gradients descents. You get to brainwash, slot ideas into the heads of your units. It's a fill the grid minigame, where each part grants different stat bonuses. I actually love this mechanic. It reminds me of my wife. You can spend your hard-earned resources to galaxy brain your units, unlocking more ideas and making the grid larger. On top of all that, each Arcanist can be equipped with a thigh tube. They give some stats and a passive. The passives can be conditional stats, or something more specific like gaining buffs from certain actions. You can slide these around as you see fit, and you can also set a preferred, not saying this again, which just auto sets it, which is quite nice. However, despite all of this customization, there is no feature to save and reuse teams. You can quick select, but it's a tad awkward. But, despite not being able to save teams in normal gameplay, you can save and reuse teams in the second week bonus feature that's in events. It's in the game. So put it in the game. Last in the gameplay section is the weekly rewards, or artificial somnambulism. I'm not reading that more than once. You play through a series of dreams, making meaningless decisions and getting up to hijinks, just like in real life. The latter half of 10 dreams are hard modes for the first 5. They come with a new mechanic that forces you to roll the gacha, i.e. alternate your teams. After each fight, 3 units from your team must rest for 1 round, leaving only 1 left. In other words, if you wanted to field a full team through each battle, you'd need to build 7 Arcanists, or somewhat more optimally, I dare say, 2 dedicated teams of 4. In my opinion, this mode is rather underutilized. There isn't any incentive to keep replaying the dreams. They're much closer to a sleepyhead checklist. At the end of the week, you get some rewards based off of your score from the dreams. But the dreams don't reset each week. You clear them one time, and then forever, you get to receive the rewards from them. Editor's note. There is a reason to keep replaying the dreams. After you complete the first 10, you unlock Limbo Mode, which gives you 6 dreams that don't actually get dialogue, and only have 2 battles each, but these are repeatable every 2 weeks. Sort of. It's basically 4 times a month. It's technically every 2 weeks, but it's actually like on the 1st and the 16th. It's whatever. And these give you clear drops. About 600. Depending on your ability and your account progression, but it's a maximum of 600. Talking about events again, I had to rush this section in right before recording, because it turns out events have a consistent mechanic in their second week. Utu Magazine. This is a special challenge mode, I guess you could call it that, and you can play it for free with no, energy cost. You can equip special cards to your Arcanists and Vertin to boost their abilities, and with them, you fight through rounds that get progressively harder and more rewarding as you progress. At any time, you can also do a bonus stage to unlock further cards to equip. The rewards for this are currency for a second event shop, Yes, that's right. Events have 2 shops, and each of them have a in the standard event shop and a skin in the Utu one. Also, like I said, they put a team save option in Utu, but not in the standard game. Lastly, events seem to have their own custom selections. Melania and Tooth Fairy's event had these chessboard setups for puzzles, and the latter half of Tooth Fairy's event had a visual novel roguelike. I don't know how to describe this, but you do runs through a week of activities building up your stats and helping Jessica pass her exams, which are totally not hate crimes. It has 9 endings, and each ending you get actually gives you stat modifiers permanently for future runs. It's actually pretty insane for just an event, which I don't think is coming back. Reverse 1999 is a game with a unique design style, and makes good use of live 2D and voice acting. The combat is fast-paced enough that it ends up being a rather nice blend of reactive and proactive strategy. The gacha is pretty fair, all things considered, and I've never really felt that I have to pull for anything for the meta. Though, saying that, it is worth mentioning that I did re-roll 46 times to get Centurion. The convenience features are nice, but also incomplete. Though, because they are literally already in the game, I feel like this issue won't exactly last for long. With how many surveys I've been getting, I imagine the developers are really aiming to outpace their competition, and honestly I would say that they're probably succeeding on that front. Hell, one of them asked what type of brands I'd be interested in them collabing with. Among the options were sports, cinemas, and campsites. Guys, you're a gacha game. I appreciate the enthusiasm, but sports and cinemas? Hello? This is probably evident by the fact that I am currently level 45 as of my recording. Maybe 46 by the time I upload it, it's hard to say. But I intend to keep playing this game. I'm having a lot of fun with this, to be honest. This took longer than I would have liked to script and record, but I will do another just talking about gacha game video like this. Eventually.